Today we will continue the Creating the Best Strategy series, in which I research dozens of indicators for various purposes like entry or exit signal, baseline, momentum or trend filters to find the best ones. Today I'm excited to bring you the best volume part 1 video. Just like before, my backtesting, sorting and ranking methods will be objective, rules-based and as fair as possible. In this video, I will walk you through the 7 volume-based indicators that I tested, then I will briefly mention the testing, sorting and ranking system, and at the end, I will reveal the results. As always, you can support me on Patreon and you can buy the full research data plus 7 scripts bundle if you want to take a deeper look on the backtest, sorting and ranking, or if you just want to get access to the source codes of the 7 scripts I coded to complete this research. You can find the Patreon link in the description, and without wasting any time, let's get right into it. If you are familiar with this series, you should know that we already tested the best entry signal, the best baseline indicator, we found out which are the best assets to trade, we also tested best exit signals, momentum indicators and stop loss methods. There are only a few main categories left, and one of those is the volume indicators. I have to tell you that I am not really familiar with volume indicators. I only used the volume oscillator before and a simple volume with a moving average. But today we will change that. So to find out which is the best volume filter indicator, I coded 7 pinescript strategies, one for each volume indicator, and I will test all the 7 volume indicators using a unified strategy script. The core of the strategy is pretty simple. We will use the squeeze momentum as the entry signal indicator and the simple ATR-based stop loss and take profit. Whichever volume indicator strategy generates the best backtest results on most of the assets and timeframe combinations will be the best volume filter. I am planning to do a second part of this volume indicator research, but in this part we will check these indicators: the simple volume with an EMA, the unbalanced volume with an EMA, the volume oscillator with an EMA, the negative volume index with an EMA, the money flow index with limit levels, the Chaikin money flow with limit levels, and the volume weighted moving average. To do the backtest, I will be using a TradingView input parameter optimizer. There are 2 out on the market that I know and which are working well. One is David Text Optimizer and the other is the TradingView Assistant. If you don't know about those are simple Google Chrome extensions. Ask me in the comment section if you need a link to those. In an optimizer like this, you can set up the parameter ranges for each parameter in your strategy to get optimized. I use optimizers like this to create my complex optimizations for the Smart Trader tier members. These will be the volume indicator setups I will be testing. So for example, for the simple volume with an EMA, I will check if it matters to use the volume color as a filter option or not, and I will check the volume-based moving average lengths listed here. Now I won't go over all this, but these are the options I tested randomly. Okay, first of all, let's go over all the volume indicators I will be testing, and let me explain how I will use each of those. So here is an example script that uses the volume oscillator with an EMA. Now, just like before, I will be using the squeeze momentum as an entry signal, which is this indicator. And for the exit, I will be using an ATR-based stop loss and take profit level using the NNFX ATR indicator. So to get these indicators on your chart, type in NNFX ATR, add this one, and squeeze momentum. Add this one. Without using any volume indicators, the squeeze momentum gives a sell signal if after a green bar, a red bar is printed. Similarly, if after a red bar, a green bar is printed, that is a long signal. So without any volume filters, this would have been a long entry, and this would have been a short entry. Now for stop loss, let's do a 4 take profit and a 2 stop loss distance. And in this case, I would have placed the stop loss here and the take profit here. There are no trailing stop losses, no move stop loss to break even, nothing like that. So either gets hit first, we will exit the position there. And the same case goes to the long, so stop loss there and take profit there. But now let's go over the volume indicators and see how I will use them. First of all, the volume weighted moving average. To add that to your chart, type in VVMA and click on this one. It is a simple trend filter, but it uses the volume. I change its color to white and its length to 50. This way, this short example would have been still valid as the candle closed under the volume weighted moving average. But this long entry wouldn't have been valid as the volume weighted average is above the close of the price. Let's see a few more examples. So this would have been a long entry, but the price closed under the volume weighted moving average, so it's not a valid entry. And here is a short entry, and the price closed under the volume weighted moving average, so that is a valid short entry. Now let's see the next volume indicator. Next up is the Chaikin money flow. To add that to your chart, type in CMF and add this one. The CMF will look something like this. It has one line and I added two limit levels. We will have a long limit and a short limit. If the CMF is above the long limit level, like here, long entries are allowed. If the CMF is under the short limit level, like here, short entries are allowed. Let's see a few examples. So here is a potential long entry, but the CMF is between the two lines, so there is no entry. Here is a short entry signal, and the CMF is under the short entry limit, so this is a valid short entry. Stop loss is at the NNFX ATR, and the take profit is also there. And this would have been a winner. Now here is a long entry, but the CMF doesn't allow it, as it's under the long limit level. And so on and so on. Next up is the MFI or money flow index. Open up the indicators tab and type in MFI and click on the money flow index. We'll use the money flow index just like the CMF, so it will have a long entry limit and a short entry limit. If the CMF is above its long entry limit, which is this line, then long entries are allowed. If the CMF is below that limit, then short entries are allowed. And if the CMF is between those two lines, then no entries are allowed. Let's find a few examples. So here the squeeze momentum gave a long entry signal, and the MFI agrees as its line is above the long limit level. So that is an entry. Stop loss to the NNFX ATR stop loss line, and the take profit to the NNFX ATR take profit line. And this would have been a winner. Now let's find a short example. So here we get a short entry signal from the squeeze momentum, but the MFI did not agree with that as the MFI line was between the two limit levels. Now going back a bit. On this candle, the squeeze momentum switched from green to red, and the MFI was under the MFI short limit level, so this is a valid short entry. Stop loss here and take profit here. And this trade was a losing one, but that's normal. Okay, let's move on. Next up we have the negative volume index, which looks like this. To get that on your chart, type in NVI and add the negative volume index by Everget. Now this index has a built-in EMA or SMA, whichever you like, and you can set its length here and the initial value here. Now we won't change the initial value as this only changes the scale. So if I change it to 1000, you can see the scale goes up to 5500, but if it's at 100, so it doesn't really matter what we type here. For this I will be using an EMA to filter long and short entries, and I just set up a 65 length now. So for the NVI, if this so-called cloud is green, or basically when the NVI line is above the NVI based EMA, long entries are allowed. If the cloud is red or the NVI line is under the NVI based EMA, short entries are allowed. So let's see a few entries. Squeeze momentum would have given here a valid short entry, but the NVI did not agree as it is green now. Here is a long entry from the squeeze momentum, and the NVI agrees as it is green. So entry would have been here, stop loss there, and take profit there. Unfortunately, this would have been a losing trade. Now let's find a valid short entry, and here is one. The squeeze momentum turned red from previously being green, and the NVI is also red. But as I can see, this would have been also a losing one. It's pretty simple to use. Let's move on to the next indicator. The next will be the volume with an EMA. For that, simply type in volume, add this, and EMA. Add the moving average exponential. Now you should move the moving average exponential from being on the chart down to being on the indicator, and then you open up the EMA settings and change its source to volume. This way the EMA will move according to the volume indicator. Now here we check if the volume color matters and if the volume is higher than the volume-based EMA. So at all times, for a very long or short entry, the volume needs to be above the volume-based EMA, but randomly we will check if the color matters at all. So for example, if we decide that the color matters, then long entries won't be allowed if the volume bar is red, and the opposite goes for shorts. Let's see a few entries. So here it have been a long entry signal, but the volume with EMA did not agree, as the volume bar was below the volume-based moving average. Here is a short entry signal from the squeeze momentum, and the volume bars agree, as the volume is higher than the volume-based EMA, and it's red. Let's find a long entry. Here is a very long entry, as on this candle the volume bar was well above the volume-based EMA, and it was green. Pretty simple. And we are down to the last two volume indicators. Let's see. The volume oscillator with an EMA. For that, type in volume oscillator, and add this one. And also type in EMA. And add the moving average exponential. Now again, you should move the EMA to the volume oscillator, then open up its settings and change its source to volume oscillator. This way the EMA will move according to the volume oscillator line. The rules are simple. If the volume oscillator, this blue line, is above the volume oscillator based EMA, this white line, then long entries are allowed. If the volume oscillator line is below the EMA, then short entries are allowed. A few entry examples. So here the squeeze momentum gave a buy signal, and the volume oscillator agrees as its line is above the volume oscillator based EMA. Here we got a short entry signal, and the volume oscillator agrees again as its line is below the volume oscillator based EMA. And now let's see the last indicator. The last indicator will be the on-balance volume with an EMA. For that, type in OBV, add this one, and then EMA. Add this one. Again, you will have to move the EMA from the chart to being on the OBV indicator, and then open up the EMA settings and change the source to on-balance volume. The rule is just like with the volume oscillator with EMA. If the OBV line, which is this blue line, is above the OBV-based EMA, then long entries are allowed. If the OBV line is below the OBV-based EMA, then short entries are allowed. That means that this short signal would not have been valid, as the OBV is above the OBV-based EMA. But this long example would have been valid, as again the OBV is above the OBV-based EMA. This short example is not valid. This short is not valid either. But this short example is valid, as the OBV line is under the OBV-based EMA. So in that case, entry would have been here, stop loss here, and take profit there. And it would have been a winning trade. Okay, so those are all the volume-based indicators that we will test and how we will test them. Now let's see the asset, timeframes, entry and exit conditions. So I will be testing 4 assets, just like before, the Bitcoin USDT, the Euro USD, the Microsoft and the US30. I will test 3 timeframes, 15-minute, 2-hour and daily, and 2 directions, obviously long and short. For entry, we will use the squeeze momentum and the setups listed below. For exit, we will use a simple ATR-based multiplier for stop loss and take profit, and the multiplier value will be between 2 and 8 with a step of 2, and the ATR length between 10 and 70 with a step of 20. I will test all of these combinations separately on all the 7 different volume indicators, so there will be a lot of backtesting done. The total number of combinations are listed here. I will test only 5% of all the possible combinations for each script, and that's because if I would have tested all the combinations, it would have taken me months to complete. So for the volume with EMA, I will test a total of 2,448 combinations, which is 5% of all the combinations out there. I will do the backtesting randomly, as mentioned before. For the on-balance volume with EMA, this number is 1,248, and so on. If I would have tested all the combinations, it would have come out as 468,960 backtests. But by checking only the random 5% of all combinations, so randomly switching the parameters, this number is down to a moderate 23,000 combinations. Now there are a few rules for this backtest. I will be using the last 4 years of time interval from 2020 till 2024, and we have a trade count limit which I introduced only 1 or 2 videos back. So as Bitcoin is open 24/7, but for example Microsoft is not, the trade count limits should be different because the number of candles in those 4 years are not the same for Microsoft and for Bitcoin. So for Microsoft I will be using these limit values, for Bitcoin these, for EURUSD these, and for USD these. Talking about the fees, for crypto I am using 0.05% on each entry and exit and 2 tick slippage. For stocks, the same applies. For Forex we only use a 20 tick slippage, and for the US30 we are using 2.5 USD per contract and 20 tick slippage. Now let's see the sorting system. So during these backtests I will create different groups. One group example will look something like this. So a group can be, for example, the 15-minute time frame on the BTC/USDT long-only direction. In one group I will put all the backtest results from all the volume indicators I tested. This way we will get 24 total groups, as 3 timeframes times 4 assets times 2 directions comes out to 24. And finally the ranking system. So I will go over all the 24 groups and give points to the best performing backtest results. Now there is a slight twist here that I did not do before. Besides the profit factor, we will also consider the net profit divided by the max drawdown. I use this value to create my best optimizations, and the higher this value is, the better a strategy's performance is. So we will give out points for the base rank decided by the profit factor. So based on profit factor we will give up base rank points and weighted rank points. And based on the net profit divided by maximum drawdown, we will also give out another set of base rank points and weighted rank points. And now if you want to get access to all the backtest, sorting and ranking results, plus the 7 scripts I coded, go down into the description, you will find a link to my Patreon shop, which you can see here, and you should look for Research Data Best Volume Indicator Part 1. It will be a $25 bundle, but if you are a Smart Trader tier member, you can use your smart coins to get discounts. What does that mean? Well, after 1 month of Smart Trader tier membership, you are rewarded with 1 smart coin. So for example, if you've been a Smart Trader tier member for 5 months, you can get 5 times 5 USD discount, meaning you can get the whole research bundle for free. If you want to use your smart coins, you can contact me through Patreon or in Discord. And now, are you ready for the results? Let's see. So first of all, the absolute top 3 results based on a net profit divided by maximum drawdown. Here I used a limit. Keep in mind that here I used a 50 trade count limit, so probably all of the daily time frame results are out on the window. But let's see. The third place goes to the volume oscillator with an EMA on BTC/USDT 2-hour chart, long only direction. The second place goes to the simple volume with an EMA, and that's for BTC/USDT 2-hour chart again and long direction. And the first place goes to the volume oscillator with EMA for the same BTC/USDT 2-hour chart, long only direction. And now let's see the overall results. So here are the final results. And at the last place we have the negative volume index with EMA that only collected 255 base points based on net profit divided by maximum drawdown, 373 weighted points, 287 base points based on profit factor, 577 weighted points based on profit factor, and finally a combined points number of 373. The 6th place goes to CMF with limit levels, the 5th place goes to the on-balance volume with EMA, and the 4th place is the simple volume with EMA, which got around 950 combined points. And now the top 3, the volume weighted moving average, which was previously also tested as a trend filter, but it also got great results here as a volume indicator. It got just 100 points more than the volume with EMA, but it's still more. And the 2nd place goes to the MFI with limit levels, with 1249 points. And the overall winner is the volume oscillator with EMA, which is interesting as this is one of the 2 indicators that I initially put in the premium strategy scripts, but not with an EMA. It got a staggering 4,700 combined points, which is almost 4 times more than the MFI with limit levels. Now here I noticed something interesting. So as we are testing 5% of all the combinations, the number of combinations for the volume oscillator, even with using 5%, is much higher than all the other indicators here. So probably in the future, I will try to make all the indicators that I test to have the same number of combinations tested. That way, the results might be somewhat different. But I think using anything from the top 3 is a good choice. And that's it for now. Now, stay tuned for the part 2. It will come out in 2 or 4 weeks. I'm not sure yet. That will be interesting too. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and if you have any volume indicator recommendations. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you want to get access to the full backtest data, sorting and ranking spreadsheets, alongside with the 7 pinescript strategies I used to complete this research, check out my Patreon shop. Link is in the description. Or if you want to get access to my best, highly customizable strategy scripts made for trading bot automation and 52 optimizations, become a Smart Trader tier member. Let me know in the comment section if you know other volume-based indicators that I should test for part 2. As always, thank you all for watching, have an amazing day, and until next time, trade smart!